Law and Order, 1990, is one of the longest-running and most iconic crime dramas in television history. Its gripping storylines and unforgettable characters captured the hearts of millions of viewers around the world. The talented cast brought justice to life on screen, becoming legends in the entertainment industry. However, after 35 years, the lives of these stars have changed in unexpected and emotional ways. In this video, we'll take a closer look at the Law and Order cast and reveal the inspiring, bittersweet, and sometimes tragic stories behind these beloved actors. Jerry Orbach was born on October 20, 1935, and took on the role of Detective Lenny Briscoe in Law and Order in 1991 at the age of 56. Briscoe, a seasoned and world-weary NYPD detective, was defined by his sharp wit, sardonic humor, and unwavering commitment to justice. He often showed a rugged side, toughened by years of difficult cases and personal loss. Despite the humor he brought to the show, Briscoe's character was shaped by his deep internal struggles and troubled past. Jerry Orbach's own life reflected the pain that was often embedded in his portrayal of Briscoe. After experiencing a series of career ups and downs, Orbach found his true calling in television with Law and Order, but not without sacrifices. His personal life was marked by a painful divorce and complicated relationships. He married Marta Kuro in 1979, and the couple had 2 children, but their union ended in divorce. Orbach's life was further marred by a heartbreaking battle with prostate cancer, which plagued him during his final years. The disease ultimately claimed his life on December 28, 2004, at the age of 69. While his portrayal of Briscoe brought comfort and realism to audiences, his own life was filled with loss, illness, and struggles that mirrored the depth and complexities of the character he portrayed. Fred Thompson was born on August 19, 1942, and portrayed District Attorney Arthur Branch in Law and Order starting in 2002, at the age of 60. Branch was a Southern conservative with a tough, no-nonsense approach to law enforcement, often embodying the traditional values of justice, but with a rigid, sometimes unyielding perspective. Thompson's own life, much like his characters, was filled with professional and personal battles that were fraught with difficulties. Though he enjoyed a successful career in both politics and acting, his life was also filled with tragedies. Thompson's marriage to his first wife, Sarah, ended in divorce, and he faced the agony of losing his second wife, Jerry Ken, to a battle with cancer. This event left him devastated, as his personal life crumbled under the weight of grief. His political career was often overshadowed by the personal loss he faced, with many of his political decisions marred by personal tragedy. As his career in acting began to flourish with Law and Order, Thompson was diagnosed with lymphoma, a cruel twist of fate that left him battling a terminal illness while dealing with the emotional weight of losing his loved ones. He passed away on November 1, 2015, at the age of 73, a man whose life had been marked by public success but personal sorrow and loss that would forever define his legacy. Paul Sorvino was born on April 13, 1939, and was 52 years old when he began his role as Sergeant Phil Chiretta in Law and Order in 1991. Chiretta, a seasoned and compassionate sergeant, quickly became a fan favorite, known for his calm demeanor and his ability to relate to both victims and suspects with equal empathy. However, behind the scenes, Sorvino's life was marked by personal heartbreak. His career, though filled with iconic roles in both film and television, was overshadowed by years of struggle with family and love. Sorvino's first marriage to actress Lorraine Davis in 1956 ended in divorce, leaving him devastated by the loss of his family. He remarried in 1991 to actress and businesswoman Dee Dee Benke, but their relationship, too, was fraught with issues, and the couple eventually parted ways. Adding to his pain, Sorvino's children faced their own set of tragedies, and he remained haunted by the strained relationships with some of them. Throughout his life, Paul was burdened with deep emotional scars, feeling both the weight of his public success and the isolation of his personal suffering. Despite the accolades for his portrayal of Sergeant Chiretta, Sorvino's personal life was filled with unresolved grief, which followed him until his death on July 25, 2022, at the age of 83 from natural causes. Dennis Farina, born on February 29, 1944, was cast as Detective Joe Fontana in Law and Order in 2004, at the age of 60. Fontana was a tough, street-smart detective with a flair for theatrics and a no-holds-barred approach to solving cases, pushing the limits of the law to secure justice. Farina's own life, however, was far from glamorous and was marked by deep personal and emotional strife. His career, though it began with promise, was marred by an inability to break free from the typecasting he faced, often relegated to playing similar tough guy roles. Farina's personal life was filled with significant emotional scars. He was married to his first wife, Patricia, with whom he had 3 children, but their marriage ended in a bitter divorce. He struggled with the pain of failed relationships, even as his fame grew. His personal losses were compounded by a deep sense of isolation, with his career often feeling like a substitute for the family he had lost. In his later years, Farina's health began to deteriorate, and he battled serious medical conditions. He tragically passed away on July 22, 2013, at the age of 69, from a blood clot in his lung, leaving behind an air of unfulfilled potential. Sam Waterston, born on November 15, 1940, was 54 years old when he began portraying the iconic character of Executive ADA Jack McCoy in Law and Order in 1994. McCoy was a passionate, often controversial figure, driven by a relentless pursuit of justice, no matter the cost. His fierce dedication to his work often put him at odds with colleagues and the legal system, embodying the complexities of morality in the courtroom. Waterston's own life, however, was marked by its own moral complexities and personal struggles. His acting career, though successful, was marred by challenges in his personal relationships. Waterston's first marriage to actress and writer Barbara Rutledge in 1964 ended in divorce in 1975, leaving Waterston with the scars of a broken home. Later, his long-term relationship with fellow actress and director, Mia Farrow, was marred by infidelity and heartbreak, a painful chapter in Waterston's emotional history. Despite the public success of Law and Order, Waterston was burdened by personal demons, facing periods of loneliness and isolation. At 84 in 2025, Sam Waterston remains a figure who, while admired for his career and activism, carries the weight of emotional loss and personal turmoil that has lingered far beyond the courtroom of Law and Order. Jesse L. Martin, born on January 18, 1969, was 30 years old when he began playing Detective Ed Green in Law and Order in 1999. Green was a dedicated, passionate detective whose sharp instincts and emotional depth made him a vital member of the team. Martin's portrayal of Green brought a new dimension to the show, infusing it with a sense of realism and authenticity. Off-screen, however, Martin's life was filled with hardship and personal struggles. Despite his early career success, Martin struggled to find stability in his personal life. He faced the painful aftermath of a series of failed relationships, including a tumultuous engagement that ended in heartbreak. Martin, who had hoped for a family of his own, found himself confronted with the devastation of not being able to build that dream. The emotional weight of his personal disappointments often bled into his work, leaving him feeling drained and disillusioned. In addition to the pressure of his career, Martin also faced health challenges that left him battling with low self-esteem and a sense of physical and emotional fragility. His struggles with depression and anxiety grew over time, exacerbating the emotional toll of his demanding career. Today, at 56 in 2025, Martin remains largely out of the public eye, a figure whose early promise was overshadowed by the painful realities of his personal life. Epatha Merkerson, born on November 28, 1952, was 39 years old when she took on the role of Lieutenant Anita Van Buren in Law and Order in 1991. Van Buren was a tough, no-nonsense officer who commanded respect and admiration for her leadership and unwavering commitment to her job. She balanced the pressures of law enforcement with the challenges of her personal life, all while maintaining a stoic exterior. Merkerson's own life, however, was fraught with personal and family difficulties. Despite her remarkable career achievements, her love life was full of disappointment. Merkerson, who had been married briefly in her early years, experienced a series of heartbreaks that left her questioning her own worth. The tragic loss of her father and the emotional toll it took on her led to a period of deep depression, as she struggled to find solace in both her personal and professional life. Merkerson's career also experienced its share of turmoil, as she battled with being typecast and the struggles of being a prominent African-American actress in a predominantly white industry. Her private battles with weight, health, and mental wellness added further layers of pain to her already difficult life. Today, as she approaches her 73rd birthday in 2025, Merkerson continues to grapple with the pain of lost opportunities, unmet dreams, and the unshakable feeling of never truly being understood. Leslie Hendrix was born on June 5, 1960, and was 32 years old when she began portraying Dr. Elisabeth Rogers, the meticulous and dedicated medical examiner, on Law and Order in 1992. Dr. Rogers was a critical figure in solving crimes, with her sharp forensic skills and steadfast commitment to uncovering the truth. While her character exuded confidence and professionalism, Leslie Hendrix's personal life was fraught with difficulties. She married a high-profile industry executive in her early 30s, but their relationship quickly deteriorated due to the immense pressures of her career. Her desire to start a family was thwarted by infertility, a source of deep emotional pain that she rarely spoke about in public. Despite facing these personal setbacks, Hendrix was known to fight depression quietly, as her career often left her feeling isolated and unappreciated in the entertainment industry. She also faced several professional disappointments, as she was often relegated to secondary roles despite her evident talent. By 2025, at 64, Leslie has managed to carve out a quiet life, still taking small roles in television and theater, though she largely remains outside of the limelight, quietly battling the emotional scars that have marked much of her career and personal life. Michael Moriarty was born on April 5, 1941, and was 49 years old when he began playing Executive ADA Ben Stone on Law and Order in 1990. Stone was a dedicated and principled prosecutor, whose commitment to justice often clashed with the complex moralities of the law. Moriarty's real-life struggles, however, were far more tumultuous than his characters, as he was plagued by alcoholism, which ultimately led to his departure from the show in 1994. His personal life, too, was fraught with difficulties, as he experienced multiple failed marriages and strained relationships with his children, causing him to retreat further into his own isolation. The death of his mother in 2000 deeply affected him, sending him into an emotional spiral that further fueled his self-destructive behavior. His alcoholism worsened, and his career, once full of potential, began to disintegrate as he lost significant opportunities. Although he briefly attempted to make a comeback in the early 2000s, Moriarty's struggles with addiction and personal loss continued to overshadow his professional achievements. By 2025, at the age of 84, Moriarty lives in seclusion, far from the public eye, reflecting on the success and failure of a career marred by personal and professional turmoil. Benjamin Bratt was born on December 16, 1963, and was 32 years old when he joined the Law and Order cast as Detective Ray Curtis in 1995. Curtis was a principled, hard-working detective, deeply committed to justice but often caught in the moral dilemmas that his job entailed. Bratt's own life mirrored this inner conflict, with his own battle between career success and personal pain. His marriage to actress Talisa Soto, which seemed full of promise, ended in a bitter and emotionally charged divorce, further adding to the strain of his already turbulent personal life. The loss of his sister in a tragic incident in 2009 left a deep scar on Bratt, and he withdrew from the public eye, struggling with the weight of grief, depression, and addiction. His career, which had once been on an upward trajectory, faltered as a result of these emotional struggles. Despite this, Bratt remained active in occasional projects but always felt the lingering effects of his past trauma. At 61 in 2025, Bratt continues to work intermittently but remains privately battling the demons of his past. Although he has made attempts to rebuild his career, he still faces the haunting reality of his personal losses and the emotional toll they've taken on him over the years. Carolyn McCormick was born on September 19, 1959, and was 32 years old when she first appeared on Law and Order as Dr. Elisabeth Olivet in 1991. Dr. Olivet was a compassionate and insightful psychologist, known for her ability to connect with both victims and perpetrators, providing critical insights that helped solve complex cases. While her character embodied empathy and strength, Carolyn McCormick's personal life was fraught with hardship. Her marriage to a fellow actor ended in a bitter divorce after several years, a relationship that had been full of promise but ultimately led to heartbreak. McCormick's struggle with infertility, coupled with the personal toll of her divorce, left her feeling emotionally drained. She also experienced the tragic loss of a close friend to suicide in the mid-2000s, a traumatic event that profoundly affected her. Throughout these personal struggles, McCormick found solace in her work but often felt overlooked in a competitive industry. Despite appearing in several roles after Law and Order, her career never reached the heights that many had anticipated. At 65 in 2025, McCormick has largely stepped away from acting, living a quieter life focused on her family. Yet, the scars of her earlier years persist, as she continues to grapple with the emotional weight of her past while seeking peace away from the pressures of Hollywood. Elisabeth Röhm was born on April 28, 1973, and at the age of 28, she began portraying the passionate and idealistic ADA Serena Sutherland on Law and Order in 2001. Sutherland was an ambitious and determined prosecutor who wasn't afraid to challenge the status quo, often putting herself at odds with her colleagues for the sake of justice. Despite her growing fame, Röhm's career was marred by a lack of stability, as she often found herself caught in roles that didn't allow her to fully showcase her range. Her personal life was equally tumultuous, with a series of failed relationships that left deep emotional scars. She married once, but the union ended in a bitter divorce, a publicized heartbreak that left her feeling betrayed and alone. Despite her success, she faced constant inner struggles and often confided in friends about her inability to feel truly at peace. As she grew older, her battles with anxiety and depression only deepened, and she found herself questioning whether the life she had built was worth it. Though her career remained steady, Röhm continued to wrestle with feelings of emptiness and dissatisfaction, an unspoken tragedy beneath her professional facade. In 2025, she is now 51 years old and continues to work in television and film, though her personal life remains a shadow of what it could have been, filled with the weight of lost love and unhealed wounds. Angie Harmon was born on August 10, 1972, and at the age of 26, she began portraying ADA Abby Carmichael in Law and Order in 1998. Carmichael was tough, no-nonsense, and fiercely dedicated to her work, traits that Harmon herself seemed to embody in her personal and professional life. Harmon, despite her success and growing fame, found her personal life riddled with heartbreak. Her first marriage ended in a highly publicized divorce that left her reeling. She remarried in hopes of finding stability, but that relationship too ended in a painful separation, one that again shattered her confidence in love and trust. Her professional success continued to rise, but behind the scenes, Harmon faced the burden of balancing a demanding career with raising her children alone. The loneliness she faced in the aftermath of her failed marriages was compounded by the intense scrutiny she faced in the public eye. On top of these struggles, Harmon's health began to deteriorate as years of stress and emotional turmoil took their toll. She turned to various coping mechanisms, some of which only deepened her despair. Now 52 years old in 2025, she continues to work in entertainment but lives a life filled with emotional scars and a longing for peace that always seems just out of reach. Alana De La Garza was born on June 18, 1976, and began portraying the sharp and determined ADA Connie Rubirosa on Law and Order at the age of 30 in 2006. Rubirosa was a character defined by her intelligence, strength, and dedication to the law. De La Garza, despite her professional success, found herself caught in a web of emotional pain as her personal life seemed to constantly unravel. Her marriage, which began with promise, ended in a bitter divorce that shattered her faith in love. While she had 2 children from the marriage, the strain of single motherhood took its toll on her mental health. She found herself struggling to balance her career with the emotional burden of raising children alone. Her professional life remained on an upward trajectory, but privately, she was consumed by loneliness and guilt over her failed relationships. In addition to the heartache of her broken family, De La Garza faced criticism from industry insiders, who often undermined her talent due to her more traditional looks. This constant battle for validation only fueled her feelings of inadequacy, and she struggled with self-esteem issues that no one could see. At 48 years old in 2025, De La Garza's career continues to thrive, but the weight of her personal disappointments has left her feeling emotionally adrift, unsure if she will ever truly find peace. Stephen Hill was born on February 24, 1922, and took on the role of District Attorney Adam Schiff in 1990, at the age of 68. Schiff was a wise, calm, and often morally conflicted figure in Law and Order, navigating the tumultuous waters of justice with a pragmatic approach. He had the heavy responsibility of balancing legal ethics with political pressures, which often placed him in morally gray areas, reflecting the complexities of justice itself. However, Hill's real life bore an even more tragic resemblance to the character he portrayed. Despite his success, Hill struggled with a deeply personal conflict between his career and his personal life, especially when it came to his faith. As a devout member of the Jewish faith, Hill faced significant difficulties in reconciling his beliefs with the demands of his acting career, often leading to periods of estrangement from his colleagues and the industry. His marriage to his first wife, Barbara, was strained and ended in divorce, and his second marriage to Rachel Hill was also filled with emotional turmoil. Hill's final years were marked by a decline in health and loneliness. He was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease and spent his last years struggling with the disease. Hill passed away on August 23, 2016, at the age of 94. Who is your favorite character from Law and Order? How do you feel knowing that some of the actors have passed away? Don't hesitate to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this content, please remember to like, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you won't miss future videos. Thank you so much.